Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and it is Free Friday. So I'm playing with my art journals, and I just, I come back to the ones I've done and look at them, and then I like to add things to them and finish up what I was doing. And this last one I did, here's the shield, but I kind of want this to be dimensional, and I found this piece of packing. And I'm just going to cut a chunk of it and glue it with some E6000. Hopefully that'll work. See if I can get this glue on here. I was looking around. I probably have some of that tape that's like, foam tape, but I can't figure out where it is. So this will work. My all-purpose wooden skewer. See if I can get that to make the glue come out. There we go. We've got a guy over here building a gate out to our backyard. So they're out there yelling or talking loud. And so if you hear that noise, that's what that is. He's conversing. It's kind of windy today. Let's see. Did I get it down far enough so it didn't show? Yeah. Okay, so then I don't know, I put the lid back on. Oh. See if I can get the glue to go on these ridges. Whew. That glue is something else, isn't it? I'm looking to see if I'm missing anything underneath that I might want to keep, but oh well. Gotta make room for this. And then this, I think I'm gonna just use Fabri-Tac. Filled my Fabri-Tac up and it's much friendlier now. Okay, so center that on there. All right, so that was finishing that up. I feel like that looks better dimensional. So I'm gonna shut this one, and I thought I would just show you. I did this the other day, just scrapping with some different backgrounds, and I took some photos out of a journal that I got at a flea market that some little girl had cut out back in the 60s or whatever. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to glue these in here. They may not show when it's all over with, but I'm going to glue them down and let those be a background. And so I'm kind of doing the different stages. So it's not like I'm starting from the beginning and that I have a plan. Far from it. I'm just kind of doing one thing, and then I'm kind of setting up a challenge for myself. So I did this one day, so now the next thing is, now what am I going to do? So before I do anything though, I have a few more of those kind of images that I had to have hanging out, and I'm going to go ahead and glue them in. I really like that, and I kind of hate to cover it up, but it's one of those things that's too big for a junk journal. I mean, I know I could tear it up and use it, but I feel like it has a better chance of kind of being the star of the show maybe on this journal. So the thing is, I kind of feel like I need to gesso the pages first. So, do I have any gesso pages? I try to gesso ahead, but I kind of think I don't. Well, all right then. I'm going to have to gesso them. Okay, well that's no fun to watch. So I'm going to gesso and then I will be back. Okay, you guys, this might be more interesting than I thought. Let me tell you what I did. So this is kind of crazy. I ended up going out on Amazon and getting a gallon of gesso because I'm going to do, I know for sure I'm going to do art journaling all through next year. And so this is like $10 or $11 at Walmart. And this was, I think, $22. So just saying, you might want to think about doing this. Now, I think this is thinner than that, but that's okay. It's gesso. So now I just poured out a big puddle. I could put it in a smaller bottle, but I think I'm going to just try to maybe gesso, and whatever's left I'll transfer to the next journal and just keep going like that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, and here we go. Okay, I am back. We did the gessoing the other day, let it dry. I gessoed. I've got 3 main journals going. And, you know, you do these things in layers and stages. And so I like to have several going so I have something I can play with and do. So I had something really cool happen. Now, here's the deal. My phone I use for my camera, and I ran the battery down, and so it was dead. So I was charging my phone, and I thought, well, I'm going to go upstairs and play around, just have some fun. So, of course, something happened that I wished I had on camera. So I'm going to show you what happened, and then hopefully I can do something similar. Of course, it won't be the exact same thing, but so what I did, I had this piece of research, I would call it. I've had it for years, and I think it's gorgeous, and I like that kind of night sky look, and I thought, okay, I want to do something similar to that. So I just kind of held on to it as inspiration. So I got my journal out, and I'll show it to you, and I started and it was gessoed. I took my just acrylic paint, cheap paint, and I just started slapping blues and greens on it with white, just kind of slopping it around. And then I added some black, and it got really thick and really muddy looking, and I thought, okay, I don't like this. So I went to my scrap bucket, and I'm assuming most of you or all of you do junk journaling. So, you know, you've got these paper scraps that may or may not be interesting. So I had this plain piece of white. So I just started taking my scraps and laying them on and pulling them up. And I got some of the coolest effects. This was a paper that I didn't like very much. So I started I had scratched some gesso on it, and then I put this paint over it. And I took some brown paper and just started to blot the paint up. And it looks really cool, I think. Here's another, I got a whole bunch of pieces. Like I have this piece that I had already scraped some white gesso off on. So I did this, and here's another piece. So my scraps suddenly got a lot more interesting. So here's a piece of brown paper that I had other things on. So I just laid that down and mashed it down, pulled it up. And then I had some black paper, and I thought, well, let me try that. So I got 2, this was on this page and this was on this page, so completely different look to it. And so I'm pretty excited about the scraps, but then the other wonderful thing is I love these pages, and they're so cool looking, and there's so much depth. It looks like there's writing underneath it, which there isn't. And the different texture on the 2 pages. Now see, this page is on the back of this page that I just did the other day. And so because that velvet is thick and has those holes, it kind of made some pockets for the paint to be in. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I'm thrilled with this. So I thought I might, let me see if I have another. I've played in all my journals, and now they're all wet. They all have wet paint on them. So hang on just a minute, and I'm going to try and show you what I did. Okay, I'm going to work in this one. So before I do what I said I was going to do, I want to just show you this real quick. This is another one that I worked on with the camera off. So what I did, and I'm not sure if I have any of the previous work I did, but I had sprayed it with different mica sprays in kind of a blue-green. I know what I used. I used those Tim Holtz sprays. I used the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide sprays on them. They're very muted and pretty, but they're muted. And what's cool about those is that if you drip liquid on them, then they start to make some really cool effects, which you can see. So I let that dry. And if you use those, you really have to put gesso under them or you don't really get anything. So I had that down. It was just all kind of muted. And then I took my modeling paste and I used a stencil and I just put some modeling paste through a stencil, different stencils, and let it dry. So then today what I did is I took my Lindy's Gang sprays, another brand, and I used the Lindy Starburst spray in Time Travel Teal, and this one is Sea Mint Green, which are two of my favorites. And they're mica sprays, so you have to keep shaking them up. And I sprayed those on, and they started to run. And of course, as soon as they go into these edges or these little cracks and crevices, it starts to define and makes that design pop. But it was still kind of muted. So then I used the Liquitex acrylic ink and my Amsterdam acrylic ink in olive green. This one is muted turquoise. And they're darker and more dramatic. And I just dripped a little bit and then sprayed a little bit of water to make them run. And they filled out this design over here really well. And actually, I think, looks like I need to go over it again. Of course, if I do, I won't be able to show you what I was going to show you. So maybe I will wait and come back to that. But anyway, so that is what happened with that one. And it just got very dramatic and I think pretty. And pop those textures out. Okay, so here are, and you know what? I might as well show you this too. So I worked on this as well. Let me show you this page. A while back, I decided, I love circles. So I decided, I actually think it was when I did this page. I did these circles and then I wasn't done having fun with circles. So I made these 3 circles and I used just watercolor paint. Let them dry. And then I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So then I took my liquid, or my, I took my Posca pen in purple, and it's liquid, it's violet, it's liquid acrylic paint in a pen form. It's really fun and wonderful. I've only got a couple of them and I want to get like 1,000 more. But, and that they come in all different tips and size tips. Like this one's got, I think, a chisel. Yeah, like a chisel top. And what it is this moves up and down and it releases the paint. So you turn it upside down, push it down, and when you push it down, the paint starts to flow. So that's how they work. I did that and I'm like, okay, now what am I gonna do? And I thought, well, it was awful white. So then I took my Distress ink and a stencil and I just went with blue-green. I love blue-green, and just ran texture all over the background. So what I did today is I thought about, okay, I've got three. What can I put on here? I thought about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but there's another thing that I wanted to kind of make myself a note about, and that is the 3 parts that we are. We are 3 parts. We are a triune being as well, just like God is. So we are spirit, soul, and body. So I put, you are a spirit, you have a soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions, and you live in a body. So I decided that was going to be the 3 things. So anyway, I did that page. And so now I'm going to I'll do another run at this, what I just did, to see how it works. And I think I'll use orange and pink this time because I used blue-green last time. So I'm just going to start. Actually, and what I did is this really cheap paint that you get at Dollar Tree, the cheaper the paint, the less pigment it has in it. So I know this is cheap paint. It's not got a lot of pigment, but it's got a lot of, really what it is medium, they call it. So it's heavy and medium and light on pigment. So it doesn't cover really well. So it's not going to turn my paint. It's not going to affect my paint very much because it doesn't have much pigment to it. So here's some more cheap paint from the dollar store. So I kind of did this, and then it's kind of like with my jelly plate. It's sort of the same. And just here, might as well show you my all my housekeeping. So I've got these tubs that I keep right next to my chair, and I haul water upstairs in these bottles. And so when I get all done and I have to carry all this wet stuff downstairs, I take this tub and I just put my paintbrushes and bowl in here, and if they run together, so be it, and I go downstairs and wash them all. So that's my answer to not having a sink up here. So that's pretty good. That cleaned it out pretty well. I'm going to take this brush, and I just started doing this kind of thing, only with the blue and the green. It's kind of pretty too. And eventually they all kind of turned into one color, of course, which is what happens when you mix paint, right? So let me put some more of this white. I've got this. And this is cheap apple barrel paint from Walmart. So I'll add some of it. So if you don't have a gel plate and you want to kind of play around with that technique, it's very similar, I think. Okay, so my paint's getting super heavy now on here. Oops. Okay. And then I add a black to it. Now, I don't know if I want to add black to this. It was okay with the blue and the green. Let me think for just a second. Maybe I'll add a little bit of yellow, because I want a really heavy coat of paint is kind of what I'm doing here, because that will give me plenty to blot off. Okay, and now that I know what I'm doing with this, because I didn't know what I was doing, I was just playing around. I know I'm just going to leave it kind of blotchy like that. So now I'm going to take my scrap bucket and look for some boring scraps. And I mean, that's kind of boring, so let's try that. So I'm just going to lay this on it, pull it up, and that's what I got there. That looks kind of cool. And here's a couple of pages that it looks like I was trying to make interesting. Okay, so there's that. Here's one that's kind of yucky. And you know, you could add templates to this and blot it if you wanted to. Here's something where I wrote, I kept it because it's got some handwriting. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you. That thing is written on here. So I'm just gonna see about, I don't want to lose all the writing, but make it more interesting. And meanwhile, these pages are getting more interesting. So that part of the experiment is working out. It's just a piece of brown paper. Oh, that's kind of pretty, isn't it? I got a bunch of paint down here. Let me get that off. Anywhere I see standing paint, I'm going to try and blot it off. Maybe up there I don't think I got that yet. Okay, I'm getting happy about these pages. I don't know about you guys. Okay. All right, well, that was just as cool as the other one, only with a different colorway. Yay. Wait, what's that right there? Okay. All right. I am super happy with those. So, all right. Well, I guess, so this is Fun Friday, and I had a bunch of fun, and I did show you one that I finished, so I feel good about that. And so, on to other things. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, click the like button, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.